Hi everybody, my name is Allison. It's so nice to meet you today and it's an honor to be here with you. I can tell that I'm at a point in my life where I'm starting a new chapter, and that is all kinds of terrifying and exciting, but I'm glad to be sharing it with you here today. This is very much the first time I've done anything like this, even though YouTube has been a huge part of my life since the get-go. I remember, oh, this is gonna date me, but that's okay. I remember starting with like Smosh and Bo Burnham. I used to coach volleyball when I was in high school, and I remember like having all the Bo Burnham songs memorized, and me and my friend who I was co-coaching with would sing the songs in the car on the way to practice or the game or whatever. So YouTube has been a incredibly pivotal element of my life, and it's been the catalyst of a lot of change, and ultimately it has been a source of comfort and a way to feel not so alone. It was always wonderful. I feel like I'd always find the right people for my journey at the right time, and I'm so grateful for that. So this platform has incredibly changed my life, and I'm excited to lend my own energy and presence to something that has created so much positive change in my own life. So this new chapter, I can tell that I'm being called to, instead of consume like content or the many books I've read, the many podcasts I've digested, or even my role as a student, I've been getting my Master of Architecture. And before that, I got my Bachelor of Science in Interior Architecture. It's now becoming imperative that I start creating and using all of that knowledge and experience that I've accumulated to serve others. And I'm very excited about this. So I wanted to get into this space, into this community, and start just exploring and iterating and collaborating with people and just having really deep, meaningful conversations. Because ultimately, more so than my background in design, the most important thing in my life has been my spiritual journey. It's been incredibly miraculous and transformational, and it has imbued my life with an incredible amount of meaning, and just so much empowerment. It's so cool to see how far I've come, and I'd love to be able to help others do the same. And to that end, I plan on starting my own business. That's what I'm in the process of right now. Words are hard. And the name that I have is Pseudo Studio. It's a play on what I've done in the past. Obviously, my life has revolved around this word known as the studio. It's a big component of my education and life in the fields of interior design and architecture. So I'm excited to take all those principles that I've learned in my training as a designer and use it to help others, and essentially apply those skills to design lives or design businesses, essentially using the design process and all that goes into being a designer to less tangible things, but still realities. So I'm very excited about that. But before I start doing all that, I think it's important that you get to know who I am a little bit and where I'm coming from, even though that's a little terrifying to put out there on the internet, but we're gonna go through this together. Vulnerability is a strength. So I've essentially done what I'm embarking on the journey of doing for others now in my own life, as well as the lives of some people that I'm close with. But what's most important and pertinent is how I've done it in my own life. So not very long ago, I was in a very different place. It was about 4 years ago that my spiritual journey began, and it was incredibly different and difficult. I had never been through anything quite like that before. Oops, sorry, I booped you. So back at this moment in time, so what was it, 2021, I was incredibly depressed. I came very close to taking my own life. I had an incredibly terrible relationship with myself, and just in all honesty, hated myself. I remember that my self-talk at the time was scary, honestly. Like it makes me even emotional now thinking about it, just because I mean, I just feel for her so much. But this is like the beauty of this journey. And at this point in time, I weighed 100 more pounds than I do now. And I had an apartment that was basically empty, and I had like 2 camp chairs that I was using to sit on, a TV on the floor, and instead of nightstands, I was using those folding TV trays as nightstands. So, which is obviously like a really great portfolio piece considering what I do. But of course, you've got to do what you've got to do to make things work. And even for a moment in there, I was essentially homeless. I was living out of hotels at the time. So I'm very grateful that I had the funds and resources to be able to at least have a roof over my head and a decent place to shower and feel safe. So clearly very different. And I essentially was like agnostic, atheist. And my relationship with God, the universe, was nothing like it is now. And yeah, so things were very different, very bleak. And then what happened was essentially like you can call it divine intervention, whatever. But I was listening to a podcast one day, and they said it's such a simple phrase, but so profound. This individual was talking about like different things that CEOs had said that were the like reason for why they were so successful. And I was cynical and had kind of a bratty energy in listening to this. So I was like, oh, it's going to be about material stuff or money or whatever. But actually, the one that stuck out to me was this one individual. I forget who it was. I'm so sorry. But they said, I talk to myself more than I listen to myself. And up until that point, I felt like a passive audience to my internal dialogue. So obviously I have an internal dialogue. That's part of how my internal landscape is. It's not like I see the thoughts, but I definitely feel them a lot of the time. Very cerebral person, which is a gift and a curse. And that little nugget of wisdom was absolutely life-changing. And it really helped me through what was essentially a dark night of the soul. And it totally shifted the tides. I remember after coming close to taking my own life, like I felt like I got hooked up to a fire hose of like incredibly negative thoughts. I kept thinking to like no matter what the external output was, the internal response in my like internal dialogue would be one of 2 things. It would be damaged goods or I was dead weight. And essentially like the world would be better off without me, right? So learning that I had the ability to enter into that conversation that was happening and intentionally insert my own dialogue and interrupt those thoughts totally changed the course of my life. And since then, things have been incredibly miraculous and, of course, difficult. I don't want to bypass here. I think that's a massive shortcoming of the spiritual community as it exists currently, is the bypassing. This was not a pretty journey, and it still isn't going to be a pretty journey. I know that I'm on this for life. Like, ultimately, this is my work. the most important work that I'm here to do. And there are moments of like where I'm just in awe of the miracle that life is and the beauty of it. And then also when I want to pull my hair out and shrivel in a corner, and that's okay. We live in a reality of contrast. So how I continued through that was once I learned that I could enter into what was happening inside of myself, it occurred to me that I could start using design principles. And of course, this totally relates to like the idea of manifestation, all that jazz. There's a lot of similarities between the two. This is just like a different entry point into like designing outcomes, because essentially that's what you're doing with manifestation. You're taking your desires or something like a solution to what you think is a current problem in your life, and you're trying to find a way to bridge the gap. And the design process does that all the time with buildings, interiors, even products, and like even graphic design. You take a problem and you creatively problem solve around it. And of course, like it's not linear, just like everything in life, nothing's linear. But through iteration and just holding that concept and that intent and values are everything. The concept is everything, is what I've learned, both in my training as a designer as well as through being the guinea pig in my own life experiment. So if you hold those and you let go of controlling and grasping for the end result and just trust the process and iterate, you get there. And of course, now I have clearly a lot more than 2 camp chairs to my name, which I'm so incredibly grateful for. I've got a wonderful community of people who really feel like home to me, and I'm so grateful for that now. And I've accomplished all these really amazing things that wouldn't have been possible had I not started this journey. So I am very excited to start lending these skills and talents to other people, or even if you like any problem that you'd like to work through, because ultimately I think it's beautiful. There are these wonderful vessels for growth. Each of these little things, desires that we have in our life, they're so precious, and they wind up becoming this container for growth. And that's like the process to get to wherever it is that you want to be. And I'm excited to help people through that process, whether it's for their own lives, the way that I did with mine, or for like, let's say a business or an organization or whatever it is. I am so eager and excited to help out. I consider myself a reality builder, and in working together, I would hope that I could help you connect all the dots and different facets of this reality that you're trying to bring into like physical manifestation. So if it's a individual, you know, as your reality builder, as your connector, I would love to help you connect all the different necessary facets that will combine the end result. So let's say it's, you know, you really want a different kind of, you want to embody something very different at the end of 2025. So I could help you connect, you know, your living space, where you actually physically live, what you're eating, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with spirituality, even like your wardrobe, and help you bring this new reality into the physical realm. Because of course, like all those component parts make up your manifestation, your desire. You need to embody all those things to get there. And this is a way to help support you through that one facet at a time. I also would love to do that for businesses or really whatever. I've also done this with school programs before, as well as research articles. I think it's so important that we take these very intangible concepts in our minds, which are your blueprint. Those are so important. Whatever it is that you desire it for a reason. That's your roadmap. And the one beautiful thing, well, there's many beautiful things about design. Of course, I'm biased. I'm a massive design geek, but one of the beautiful things is it helps you create a physical, tangible roadmap through it. So in the one example that I gave of doing this for a school program, I was tasked with really redesigning their interior environment to support their needs. It was for a makerspace. However, very quickly into going there and getting to know them and connecting with both the teacher, the school community, as well as the students that were utilizing the space, it became very clear that that was not what they needed. What they really needed was a more steady flow of projects to keep the students engaged and to give them a source of real active learning in their community that would not only give them hands-on experience, but also give them the sense of fulfillment that comes with serving others, especially others that make up the community that you're a part of. So I developed it was both an idea, but of course it's important to bring ideas into the physical world. So I created then a drawing in the style of how I've been trained as a designer. And it kind of helped create this roadmap through showing all the different parts of how this program that allowed the students to hook up with other students, college students at the local architecture school, so that they would have this steady stream of projects. So it's essentially creating a mini studio for these middle school makerspace students. And it was a massive hit. And of course it addressed a need that was more important than just hitting the surface level fluff of let's give you some new furniture and call it a day. That doesn't actually help. And I know that's not what helped in my journey. I'm so grateful to be surrounded by these beautiful things now, but of course, what has been more important is the actual work and actually getting myself hooked up to things I know that will nourish and sustain me going forward. Also, so yeah, we're just gonna leave it at that. So I would love to help others with those skills. But even more than that, I'm just excited to create this space on YouTube where we can have these discussions and open up this new way of kind of talking about spirituality. However you want to enter into that conversation, I'm so excited to hear your viewpoint. But yeah, I'm so eager to meet all of you and get connected here. And yeah, thank you so much for your time and visiting me today. Okay, well, I'm excited to embark on this journey together, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.